Hello everyone, Andrew here, and this is a very exciting video because I have officially completed my collection! Yeah! Although, it's not my entire collection, of course, but it is a smaller subsection of my collection, which in itself is kind of a collection, and that is because just the other day, I bought Rewind 2006 for the Game Wave, the most well-known console ever made. So I think that we should rewind a bit, and talk a little bit about what the Game Wave is. And I'm not joking about the whole completing my Game Wave collection thing, though. The Game Wave only has 13 games, and it's a ridiculous console, which, as you will see. But it's a console nonetheless, so we're going to talk a little bit about it, although I suppose I should stop holding up the game and show the actual console itself. So a lot of people out there probably haven't even heard of this crazy hunk of metal, which, has the whole wave thing going on across the top. Get it? Get it? It is a thing that was released back in 2005, which technically puts it as part of the 7th generation of consoles, according to Wikipedia. I mean, everyone's favorite website. I don't know if I'd really consider it part of that. I mean, what do you do? I mean, when you think of the 3rd generation of consoles, do you just think Wii, PS3, Xbox 360, or do you include, weird things like this, which I guess technically are consoles? But they're nothing like the other, the main 3. So I don't know, your comment question of the day, because I guess that's going to be a thing, is do you consider things like the Game Wave part of the actual generations of consoles, or is it just some cheap cash grabby thing that was made, and shouldn't be included at all? But you don't even know what it is yet, most people, so we're going to get into that. Yeah, but the Game Wave is a console slash DVD player that was released back in 2005, and it had a whole bunch of games for it, and they were mainly trivia games, as you will see. Like, here's another example of a game right here, like, Arc of Trivia, the 4th degree. So, it was a very kind of, it's not your typical gaming console. I'm lost for words and how to explain it, but there you go, there's your controllers right there. They're all kind of TV remotes. So it was kind of like a designated trivia slash puzzle game console. It didn't obviously have, any serious games on it, platformers and first-person shooters and all those crazy things. It was mainly for things like that, and it's really bizarre. I mean, people will know that, I like collecting some of the weirder things. And the Game Wave is definitely one of those weirder things. I mean, I have my, I'm trying to get all the NES games, but then there's also times when it's like, the Game Wave, it's so bizarre that I kind of have to own it, and all of the games have kind of accidentally come into my possession over the years. I've never actually gone out of my way to find Game Wave stuff. I've always just been at the thrift stores, and they've popped up, usually sealed, because this thing did not sell very well in the slightest, if you could imagine. But yeah, I mean, just the other day I picked it up for a whole $2.99, so it's a super expensive console to collect for. I don't know how I ever did it, but it's done. But yeah, so this is, if you count it as a console, which it technically is, if not, as exciting as every other console out there, it still technically is. It's the 2nd complete collection I have now, next to the Virtual Boy, which also had around that many games, so I'm really good at completing the smaller ones, which I guess makes sense. Although these days, some Virtual Boy games are getting really expensive. Back like 7 years ago when I collected all the games for it, most of them were like maximum $20, $30, with most of them being $5 or $10, and now these days some of them can reach like, hundreds. So, I mean, that doesn't include the Japanese games. I'm just talking North American games on the Virtual Boy. Even back then, there were some Japanese exclusive ones which were already in the hundreds, but the North American ones weren't bad back then. Anyway, this is about my favorite console, the Game Wave, the Family Entertainment System. And you can see all the excited people on the side there playing all of their exciting trivia games. And if we look at the back, we have a whole list of things that were included with the console, as well as a sticker from Value Village, because this sticker, it's interesting. I never took it off because Value Village is the absolute worst for stickers. I don't know if every Value Village out there is like this, but if they put a sticker on like a box, when you peel the sticker off, it will just destroy the box. Like the adhesive on the back of the stickers is absolutely ridiculous. But it is interesting because I can go back and see, because Value Village used to put the date on their stickers, and it was bought on January 5th, 2011. So this thing is over 3 years old now. Well, I mean, it's a lot older than that, but it's been in my collection for about that long. Also, $15 for a weird thing like this. The Game Wave is not very expensive. Some people might think, you could have spent $15 on something better. Although, despite the fact that the box is a bit beat up, everything inside is mint perfect. I mean, everything is still in their plastic bags. It included, as I just showed, wherever I put it. This game, although I actually have a couple of copies of it. But yeah, overall, it's just a really bizarre console, where as you can see, as it has, those remote controls, let's see, what exactly was it supposed to come included with? It also says on the bottom here, getting people together has never been easier, because, it's, if you ever want to get your friends over to your house, tell them that you have a Game Wave, and I'm sure that it's going to be, more fun than Mario Party or something like that. The Game Wave is the only all-in-one entertainment system perfect for family time, dinner parties, or any other get-together. Just pop in a disc, hand out the wireless remotes, and you are ready to play. Use the system to enjoy rich multimedia games to play and to play movies. Whatever the occasion, your family room is guaranteed to come alive with laughter, conversation, and boredom as you play nothing but trivia games. No, I'm just kidding. Now, trivia games can be very fun. So, I mean, if you love trivia games, this is like your dream console right here. So I mean, I'm definitely not bashing the Game Wave. It's not the worst thing ever made, that's for sure. And it definitely is interesting, and obviously I put time into collecting, all 13 games for it. So I don't have like, some massive hate for it. Also inside the box comes this case with controllers, and let's go through all the colors and see if we know kindergarten things. This one's not showing up very well on camera, but that is purple. Then we have orange, and we've got yellow, and green, and blue, and finally, wait, there's a glitch here. There's a complete glitch here. Hey, the red one's not in this case. I must have misplaced it. Yes, there's a red one, and then there's these ones. Yeah, so the red one is elsewhere at the moment. I accidentally had two purple ones in this case. The way it works, though, is that when you bought the console, a game included with 4 of the controllers, and you actually had to buy the purple and the orange one separately in this case, and they were nice enough to include some AAA batteries for you, which will probably explode in a couple of years, and this will be terrible. But in the meantime, I have them still complete in the case. Also, this was made so that you could kind of put them beside each other on the counter, beside your TV, which would take up a massive amount of room. But it was made so that you could do that. And you can see on the back, there's your inputs. The power cord is actually built in, which I guess is kind of good in the sense because, because I know everyone's going to go looking for this at thrift stores now, so that when you find it, you're not going to have to worry about, finding the right power cord for it. And it also uses just, your generic red, yellow, white cords, so you don't even need to find a specific AV for it. So, get out there and search for it now, because I know that everyone is going to want to. But anyway, we should look at some of the games. Because it doesn't get, there's so much more exciting stuff to be said. So yeah, 4th degree Arc of Trivia #1. Let me get my stack here. I actually have my stack upside down. There. So we have 4th degree Volume 2. Then we have 4th degree Trivia Bible Edition. I'm sure that everyone can't wait to play that one. We have Rewind, the first. We have Rewind, the 2005, and then the final game, which I had gotten, was Rewind 2006. And you can see a lot of these things are still sealed. For some of them, I actually have sealed copies and unsealed copies. Just because they're so cheap, it's funny. Like, I go to a thrift store, and I just paid, like I said, $2.99 for this one. Value Village near me has been charging like $7 or $8 for PS2 games lately. And yet, this was only $3, so it's like even Value Village knows how cheap Game Wave games should be, which is like a shock. But yeah, that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that my thrift stores have kind of been an absolute pain in that regard lately. But yeah, I mean, we lived the events of 2006. So I mean, choose your outdated trivia. It doesn't really matter anymore because they're all almost a decade old. Anyway, what else we got here? We have so these so far have all been just basic trivia games. That's the problem with Game Wave. If you had like a PS2, there's trivia games you could get for that. You didn't have to have a console just dedicated to trivia games. Then you have Lock 5, which is it's a bit of a puzzle game. It's kind of an interesting game, although it's still it's very what only you can only do so much with a TV remote-ish controller. You have Letter Zap, which as you can tell it looks a lot like Boggle. It's kind of like Boggle and Word Search thing combined. Oh yeah, I have 2 Letter Zaps here because it's really interesting. On the ends, I will zoom in to show this because I'm sure that everyone will lose sleep if I don't get really specific. Some games say Game Wave and some of them say Zapit games. I'm not entirely sure what the difference there is. Believe it or not, there's not that much information on the Game Wave out there. I don't know why there aren't all these people documenting it, considering it's so popular. But I'm not entirely sure. I guess it's just variant. I don't know if I guess probably maybe it changed the Zap It games later, or maybe the Game Wave ones was later. I'm not entirely sure. But there, Game Wave is so exciting that it has game case variants for people to collect. So, I mean, I'm sure that after this video, the popularity of the Game Wave is just going to skyrocket by the billions. We have Sudoku, which is kind of self-explanatory, if you can believe it. We have Gems, which is definitely not a bootleg of Bejeweled in any way, shape, or form. I mean, obviously, anyone can just rip off Bejeweled. I mean, you have Candy Crush Saga. Do I say more? I don't understand how they get away with it. But, like, I mean, it's just the formula of matching 3 in a row. I don't understand how every single person out there can just seem to, like, take that gameplay mechanic and just steal it and change, change the gems to candy, or in this case, just call it Gems. I mean, it's like you can't really get more bootleg than that. So I don't know how every company out there seems to do it, but maybe I should do it and, release some crappy, Bejeweled clone and make millions off it. Seems to be what people like these days. Then we have Click, which, believe it or not, is actually a lot like Wheel of Fortune. Because, in case you haven't seen the trend, a lot of these games are like a lot of other games. Then we have Zap 21, Double Blackjack, Now Your House Rules. So it's basically a lot of casino games in the thing. And the final game, which is definitely the most bizarre game. I mean, you have all these Game Wave games, which are, obvious, clones and just, trivia, which is about as basic of a game as you can get, and, casino games. And then you have Veggietales. Like, whoa, that came out of absolute nowhere. I don't know, like, what association Veggietales had with the Game Wave. Like, of all the TV franchises out there that you could get to make a game for the Game Wave, or, like, even, I don't even really know. Veggietales was that thing we watched in school sometimes. I don't even know if it was ever on TV. In fact, I know nothing about this show, despite the fact that, almost 15 years ago now, I had to watch it in class. But for some reason, it has a game on the Game Wave. So, I mean, if you are a Veggietales fan, now you must own a Game Wave, just for the sake of having this game. I guess I should really open up a case, because I haven't actually done that yet. Game Wave games look like many other games and are on a full-size CD, and also include super massive detailed instruction books, which are about as thin as you can get. Because it's more like a fold-out thing. Almost like what you get in, 3DS games these days, which is really disappointing. I miss the days of, 30-plus page instruction manuals, because, yeah, they were just, they told you the instructions, although sometimes they had really nice art in them, and, there would be, characters would make comments and things like that down on the side, so I think that instruction manuals are really cool, and I think that the shift to digital is kind of lame. I mean, considering all, the textbooks they're pumping out and newspapers that everyone just gets and then instantly throws out, because most people don't read them these days. I'm not saying that everyone doesn't read them, but, I mean, there has to be a better way than just delivering it to every single person's house, and then, 75% of the people don't care anymore. But basically the point is, there are a lot more things affecting the environment than a few video game instruction manuals, is what I'm trying to say. And I like instruction manuals. But, just like that, we have gone through all 13 of the extremely exciting games for the Game Wave. So believe it or not, those are, as good as it gets. So since I know everyone wants to get their hands on them at this point, eBay, things on there aren't too expensive. I mean, overall, the Game Wave's a very cheap console. And it's funny because I still see them popping up at thrift stores, even now. I bought that one back in 2011, but you'll still find them, sometimes with the box, sometimes without. And they're usually never more than, $10 to $20. Usually closer to 10. I overpaid back in 2011, $14.99, but it is very nice on the inside, as I said. But overall, if you did want to get your hands on it, maybe you do have a lot of friends who like trivia. It is a great thing for that if you are, a fan of trivia games that, you play on your TV. So hopefully, you could find it for not too expensive. But anyway, what do I have here? We have the games, we have the console, we have the box. One final thing, and we have the extra controllers, but one final thing I want to show is this thing. Now, like I said, Game Wave information is just nowhere to be found, ever. So, I don't really know what to make of this thing. Like, if it's the rarest, it could be the rarest thing in my collection for all I know. Maybe they made 2 of them. And that is the Game Wave kind of carrying case. It looks like a pizza delivery case. It's like, no, it's Game Wave will be there in 30 minutes or it's free. No, so I have no idea, but basically, I took them out because I left the ones nicely inside the box, but I took these out just so I could show. But you can fit your Game Wave and your controller case in this thing together for, you know, when you take it to all of your friends' house, you have a nice protective case to take it in. So, I don't know if this would have been used for, like, if you rented it, or if there was some kind of promotion, maybe, where you could order it, or maybe it was just given away to an exclusive few people, or maybe it was used for some guy who went around to all the electronic shops demoing it. I have no idea what is up with this case. So if you know anything about the super elusive GameWave carrying case, please let me know, because I would love to know the origins of this and just how exactly people got their hands on it, and approximately, you know, how many of them out there there are. I think that would be really neat to know. But there you go, you saw it here, and don't forget it, the incredible GameWave carrying case. But yeah, actually I'll put that over here so I can lift up the box one more time. That is the GameWave, and I don't know, I found the final game to complete that collection. Like I said, I've never gone on eBay to buy a GameWave game. I've never even got a GameWave game from a game shop. I picked them all up from thrift stores because I guess, you know, people probably ordered them to sell in their stores and they never sold or anything like that. So what do you do with your, you know, overstocked inventory that you can't sell? You dump it at Value Village. So I've just picked them all up over the years, and I've probably spent, you know, less than $100 on everything to complete my GameWave collection. Now, for some people, that's probably, you spent too much on a console that only plays trivia games, but I think it's the weird things like this that make a collection just as much as, you know, having a whole bunch of NES games. It's not a, you know, a console in the sense of Nintendo's and Sony's and Microsoft's, but it's a console nonetheless, and it has game in the title, so that's good enough for me. But yeah, that is just about everything I have to say about this thing. Please let me know if there's, you know, in the comments, if you've ever played the GameWave, or if you know anything about the GameWave, or if you'd want to, you know, actually see some GameWave games in action, maybe I could arrange that. I guess I'll have to invite some people over, and if it goes anything like Mario Party 5, I'll just leave the room when it starts and admit my defeat. But yeah, anyway, that is the GameWave. Hopefully this has enlightened you on another console that was part of the 7th generation. So, you know, next time your friends are having a debate on the console wars of PS3 versus 360 versus the Wii, you can talk about the GameWave and how fantastic it was and how it is better than all three of them combined. Oh man. But yeah, if you like trivia, it is the console for you. So I recommend checking it out, especially if you ever come across it at a thrift store for like $10 or something like that. It is fun to, you know, goof around with some friends for a few minutes at that price. But yeah, before I ramble on about the same things again and again, I think that's all I really have to say about the GameWave. So hopefully you enjoyed learning about it, and you know, you can do all of your supplementary research, which, like I said, there's no information on it out there, so don't bother. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time for something different. So thanks, and see you later.